Hey,
Yes.
Jeff.
Hi, we are live finally. Wow, it's been like forever since I've seen you.
I know. And I'm always like, okay, when are we going to be meeting up again? And of course, Jeff, the myth, the man, the legend behind it all. I can't wait to hear what you think post event, comments and what you guys learned, especially with what I saw. It was amazing that last day with the interop. I mean, just things were coming so much out of this brain trust that was being built by you.
Well, look, the real credit goes to the builders who envisioned the creation of the vCon. So hats off to Dan Petrie and Thomas Howe and really Mitch Lieberman and the entire working group today at the IETF for continuing the effort, because this is not an overnight. It's sort of like finding someone who's famous. Where their song finally hits, and they're an overnight sensation that took 5 years or 10 years to happen.
Mm-hmm.
VCons have been in the headspace for people for a very long time, and it's only right now is it starting to gain momentum. But let me tell you, in this world of virtualized conversations, mixing in the world of business communications, in a world already driven and powered by AI and AI FOMO, uh, it's huge opportunity. And I am very grateful to be sitting in the center of this new at the epicenter of the vCon revolution, and it's very powerful. And what was really nice to see, which people didn't really see unless you were there, well, there are 9 different teams participating in the first ever vCon Interop this past Thursday in Cape Cod and in Hyannis, and that says everything in the sense that 9 different companies who none of them knew what the others were doing, but they worked cooperatively together
Mm-hmm.
to explore the vCon format, because as an emerging protocol, not everything is perfect. There are going to be certain syntax challenges. Trying to do things the obvious way is obvious to the people who are the core developers, but if you're coming into the market right now and you may be doing something obvious to you and you're building an application around it and it doesn't work right, it might be that there's a tweak or something that should be considered in the structure of the protocol, or maybe there's clarity needed. And so the takeaways was really awe and wow. It was really nice to see folks from I don't know. Shout out to my friend Ivar who trekked in from Oslo, who came in
Mm-hmm.
and spoke, and I loved his demo of the vCon Hurricane. That was just fantastic, and really to see folks from let's see, David Duffett came in from the UK, and we had Dave Erickson came in from Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike yourself, who's from Hawaii but living in this, in the mainland, he's really based in Hawaii, and he also sometimes is in California. And he came in, and we had folks traveled from all over. We had the community that gathered, almost all but 4 or 5 folks were from Cape Cod, so everyone came to the island. And what they got validated on is that this is something that's no holding back. The advent of the vCon is not something to forget about or think it's going to happen or not happen. It's in progress, and for people who have a head start, they're going to have opportunities to build market traction. Perhaps where the vCon RFC, as the IETFers would refer to it, has not been issued yet. It looks like it's happening in the next 12 months. So
Right.
I think before we end 2025, that becomes official. And what's also official is companies large and small are are definitely looking at this file format as a way to differentiate themselves. I gave my one of my talks that I gave, because I interjected a bunch of comments along the way, but I posted something on LinkedIn and on the vCon report right prior to the conference about purple minutes and the
Mm-hmm.
vCon revolution. And purple minutes, for people who think just that I'm fascinated by the color purple, which wouldn't be a lie. Uh, I have a lot of purple objects here, but in my purple creativity desk. But many things purple. But the point is that the purple minutes, to me, in the year 2002, that represented people that were making a commitment to voice over IP, but were simply replacing old equipment with new equipment, but not doing new things. It's sort of like not learning any new tricks. It's like
Right.
just doing same old, but with new stuff. And the advent of Purple Minutes back in the early 2000s was my challenge to the industry to do things never before practical or possible. And then from 2008 until yesterday, if you look at the rise of these unified communication platforms, the UCaaS and the cloud providers, it's wonderful and amazing. Companies are doing great things, getting millions of customers and changing the world, but they all suffer from sameness.
Mm-hmm.
Like it or
Yep.
not, it's very, very, very hard to differentiate on feature functionality, because when one person copies another person, it's called flattery. But when everybody copies everybody, there's a lack of something in the air. And, it's like copy paste one year to the next. And how do we differentiate? How do we have that wow? And all of a sudden, here comes a vCon. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that the purple revolution, and too bad Prince isn't around, because we could certainly use some of his magic with us. But the idea that we are now living in a time where things that were never before practical or possible can now happen. And if you happen to be in the communication industry, we get to redefine the roles that you serve based on the ability to not forget conversations, to have constant memory.
Right.
So one of my takeaways, which I focused on this weekend, was thinking about not relying on unified communication service providers to come up with innovative ideas for vCon apps. Although I have written the vCon application playbook, it's in draft mode. It's 150 applications that you too can build that can drive adoption within companies. If you're interested, drop me a line on LinkedIn or jeff@pulver.com, and I'll get you a copy of the book. But in today's post on the vCon report, you'll see 10 consumer-facing applications that theoretically could be built that it's much easier now if they're powered by vCons. And so, to answer your question, the reality is that everything's changed. Just people haven't realized it yet, and that it could be that in some business situations, it's the consumer side that will drive the enterprise adoption, like in instant messaging.
Right.
And like an email too. I mean, almost every application that we now use in business came out to consumers. It's
Right.
very rare that a service is only enterprise. I mean, the voicemail was consumer facing, and it wasn't invented in the phone companies. It ultimately became a feature in business, but it wasn't, it was slow to adopt. And even Vonage, when we were launching Vonage, up until the last minute before hitting the go button, there was infighting, or certainly not assurances, whether Vonage in the beginning should be a consumer service, and it ended up being, or a business service. These days, Vonage does sell stuff to businesses and sort of doesn't really talk about the fact they still have consumers as customers.
Right.
Uh, but a lot of stuff starts out on the consumer side and finds its way on the business side. So for me, what we're really talking about is a brave new world that is unbounded. And if you are a product manager working in the communication industry, you need to understand what vCons can offer. If you simply do something as simple as vConning messages, perhaps emails, or if you're in a business which has call centers and you have recordings, and you simply take those recordings and look for insights and throw that against your favorite AI engine, you'll get insights that you just didn't realize were there. And what's the value? It's the second derivative. So it's the non-obvious stuff where value is derived. And you need to play with it to understand it, and not just be told, oh, this is a protocol, this is a spec, just go with it. No, challenge it, push it, see what you can do. If you don't get it, I happen to be writing the vCon report since the past last summer, and I write almost daily. I post not daily for the benefit of my readers, but there's stuff in there, and really, it's the conversations in the hallway that took place at our event last week that verified and validated for me this magic is happening. And
Mm-hmm.
seeing the different companies in the ecosystem coming together, companies that are part of, let's say, the Net Sapiens ecosystem, companies that are
Oh yeah.
independent. Shout out to T-Mobile, who was in the room. Shout outs to the startups that were in the room. And there's no doubt to me that there are a few people who joined us that we will not know about it today, but within a year from now, they probably started companies that will be worth a lot of money because they were with us at the moment they got the aha. And that's why I am very happy to announce that we're going to be going to Dallas. That's right. Fall vCon 2025 is going to be in Dallas on October 21st, 23rd. This time around, there'll be a hackathon. That we're going to be kicking off with a hackathon. So bring your vCon ideas together. You never know. You may find the members of your co-founders for a new vCon startup. And we will be having, similar to what we did in Cape Cod, we will be having a day dedicated to developers and a day dedicated, a C-level event dedicated to industry for industry stand-up. And that's what our fall event's going to look like. And for those from the West Coast, particularly the San Diego troupe that was in the room, we are bringing Spring 26 vCon to San Diego, and that's going to be March 24th to 26th. So here I am working a year out, figuring.
Wow.
And just to add to that, based on all the conversations that people were having about the nuances about AI data, particularly how to manage customer data in a telecom AI world, Fall 25 Vine Evolution will be in Washington, D.C. on September 15th. And the core focus is the intersection of telecom, public policy, and AI. I figured we'll look at it straight on from the perspectives of regulators and regulatory attorneys and entrepreneurs and companies that are active in the space who want to get a better handle on what opportunities exist, how to do compliance, and how not to be blindsided by public policy, how to be ahead of the game, if that's possible. So I'm going to go deep in policy in September, and then follow up on the entrepreneur side, and really see new companies come into the fold. I will not be surprised if some major companies with three-letter stock symbols start showing up around us, because they cannot ignore it. This is not the time to put the head in the sand. I think what you are going to see is tremendous opportunities to innovate, maybe infighting what to lead with, what to do with, but this is the time of opportunity. And the telecom industry is no longer going to be pricing to zero, but really looking for opportunities to add value up. And I think we're going to enter a new golden age, a golden age where we have the opportunities to leverage the power of AI, generative AI, connected to virtualized conversations, connected to doing things never before practical or possible. And I think that is a wonderful place to start from, and the momentum will just grow.
Well, Jeff, I think the other side of that coin is the fact that there's not only already like the undertow, right? Like every wave, people don't see everything that's happening in order to get there. So I love the fact that we're also including the policy component and the compliance with the regulators, because a lot of people don't understand that it trickles down from federal to state and then to industry. And so if they're not a part of that process and not being able to understand it and really conceive how it's going to apply to their business, they're going to be missing out on a lot of the things that are now going to be detrimental to their businesses if they are not doing this already.
Yeah, and I hope that they at least are become aware. Also, props to everyone who is involved in thinking through into the future. Looking around. I have a brick wall behind me because I like to look around the corner or break through the walls and help people see the future, because I think the future is coming upon us. And public policy, there are three words I learned from the Von era: fear, greed, and disruption. It might be the name of an upcoming book. Watch out to find out. But and fear, greed, and disruption might sound like gloom and doom, might sound negative, but really, to me, it's a wonderful when I put them together in the same sentence. It's an opportunity if you're the entrepreneur, because fear. Well, if you're a startup, the only fear is going to come from the incumbents, a fearful of losing market share. Greed, because they don't want to give up any money, because when you start with no market share and you grow, you're taking it from someone. And disruption, right. Well, the reality is they've already have been disrupted. They just don't realize it yet. And in the advent of vCons and AI, who's disrupted? Any and every company offering business insights prior to November 2022. The fact that there's now a internet standard coming through for conversations is disruptive to every company who makes their living on having proprietary file formats dealing with voice recordings. It's like, not anymore. Can't do it.
Mm-mm.
Sometime in the future, it may not be tomorrow, but it'll be less than a few years from now, when regulators look for law, particularly from law enforcement, are going to look for information pertaining to conversations. Right now, they say, give us the CDRs, which are the call detail records. In the not too distant future, they're going to want to say, they'll say, give me your vCons. And also, when when it starts becoming obvious that consumers really should have their rights protected,
Right.
as much as the EU is already doing that through GDPR, and certain states in the US are being proactive and enforcing the rights for consent, to give consent, take away consent, and it's really to protect your voice and your likeness. That will happen more and more. And so having platforms in place that offer memory of conversations and trust and a trust layer, so that what was said and attributed to you really was said by you, that's a game changer. And I think that as we move forward in time, we will start to see trust come back into some elements of the telecom industry. People may not by default answer their telephone out of habit, but we will have much more meaningful conversations, and we're going to see the birth of an ecosystem where people from different walks of life who start realizing, okay, now there's a base of vCons out there. What can I do with them? And I believe the application marketplace for vCon, for applications that are fueled by vCons, will grow in size. Today, it's not high. It will grow over time, and we'll have a potentially a significant market cap
Yeah.
for people. And you don't have to be in the telecom industry to build applications that are fueled by vCons, as much as if you were someone who builds spreadsheet applications or database applications, you can take your subject matter expertise and apply it to the apps that are being created, and do very well in the sectors where your applications are discovered or you're well known.
Well, and I think the other side of the coin there as well, Jeff, is the fact that I think a lot of people who are in a remote environment, a lot of us, since COVID have gone into a virtual working industry where banks, hospitals, a lot of the support teams are virtual. This is going to change how we do business, everybody. This is going to change how we interact with each other, in our colleagues, in our conversations with our teams, because now documentation of those conversations are going to be easily accessible, but also too now it's regulated. So Jeff, I think a lot of people, how we work all together, are going to change.
Yes, and with that, I'm happy to pick this up and announce that I'm going to do a not so secret vCon meetup in Dallas on June 29th.
Yes.
It was decided earlier today that the vCon Revolution will be visiting, and perhaps the vCon Revolution with the vCon Hurricane will be showing up in Dallas for a meetup on May 29th to answer people's questions about what a vCon is, and talk about the impact of vCons in business, and providing some table stakes for our upcoming October event. So that's going to be, the details will be shared later. Charlene will be leading the charge
Yes.
and bringing the industry together, and we'll figure out where we'll be meeting on the 29th of May. But it'll be more than a half hour talk. It's going to be a conversational and really a chance to learn and to take away knowledge.
Yes, yes. And guys, again, we are selecting the space downtown so that it's easy accessible for you. We want it to be more than just, hey, I'm going to meet and greet. It's going to be a discussion led by having different groups and organizations from different walks of life, from AI to businesses to technology providers, all in the same room, because it's impacting everyone. That's typically where Jeff's signature way of bringing people together and curating that is so that people can have meaningful conversations and connections, so that you're thinking at a higher level, as well as you're being able to ask a better question with people who are currently working in the AI technology space. So Jeff, again, we're going to post the 2 links, guys, not only for Dallas in October for fall, but also for the upcoming Dallas meetup for May, so that you can register. We are going to have it as a big meetup for everyone. So we want you to share with your colleagues and others that are in the different silos, that they can be there as well. And Jeff, any last parting words? Because I can't wait for everyone to meet up again in less than 30 days being together.
Yeah, you don't have to be from Dallas to join us. If you're from
Mm-hmm.
Richardson, if from Plano, if from Austin, or if you want to come in from Bentonville,
El
come on down.
Paso.
Yeah, wherever you want to, come on down and join us. That's going to be May 29th in Dallas. And really, if you want to learn more about vCons, the IETF has a wonderful site where you can just look at the IETF working group. You could check out conserva.io. You can come down to pulver.com. I have a white paper I wrote about vCons and telecom. And I do publish the vCon report. If you go to thejeffpulver.substack.com, you could get the newsletter. So
Yep.
anyway, see you again live in the future. And Charlene, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back real soon.
Thanks, everybody.